Welcome to Wellness Radio with Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher as your host. Her show discusses topics of health, wellness, and spirituality, and is about discovering your place in this great universe, from your cells to the cosmos. Along with her guest, in casual conversation, she strives to ask the difficult questions that may be holding you back from a vibrant life, and shares new ideas that may inspire you to make a change in your life that you only can see in your dreams. And now, here is Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Radio. This is Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher, and it's a pleasure to have you with us here this evening. Tonight we are going to be talking about the accomplishments of our soul. How do we open? How do we step into form? How do we navigate? And how do we see from within that this is our mission in life? So many people these days are asking, who am I? Why am I here? What's going on? What is this all about? Because they're getting to the point where that human existence is getting into a kind of, as we say, sunset of life. It is disappearing, it's dissipating, and it no longer holds the joy, the sense of inner accomplishment, or even it doesn't even grasp your heartstrings. It kind of seems to be that stuff out there. What we are really seeking now in the year 2023 is a deeper connection with soul, with self, with source energy, with God, with those around us. And isn't it interesting that all of that is one? Once you step out of the human story and into the human story of one, you will totally realize that identity doesn't matter. Things really kind of fall away, and you just feel better to go out and be in service. Isn't that what we all really want? Is to find out why we're here and move into that space and time. Today my guest is Dr. Paul Hanna. His book is Remembering Qualities of Your Soul, Joyfully Living Your God Self. Dr. Hanna, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's an honor for you to invite me. Give me the opportunity to serve and help, but the best way I know how.
I'm so glad to have you, Dr. Hanna. You know, I think a lot of times people will say, as you are an MD, I'm an ND, you know, and we look around and we say, but our jobs, our training, that which we were brought up in, is all about fixing the body. Here's what's wrong. You go in, people will hand you their body and their symptoms, and they will say, okay, give it to me. They fix it, and they go out and they live their merry lives. Don't you think truly you as I had hit walls and we said, this isn't sufficing. Something's not right here. This is not the way our soul is meant to speak.
I would totally agree with that. As I look at as one energy, that one love, one breath, I think a lot of MDs here in the West, we're taught to have our own subspecialty. In that sense, you separate things. When you separate out, you're not bringing consistent with the whole. We need to consider the wholeness of an individual. So you might call a cardiologist, a nephrologist, all those different nephrologists, all those people, are different. But you need to how you look at the holistic aspect of it. I initially got off to internal medicine, then went to psychiatry. And I looked at psychiatry, and also they all was dealing with just personality, not the soul. And I said, where can I go deeper? Then people go beyond their personality disorders down to, but what's the soul? Where's the energy coming from?
Right.
So that wholeness is critical and important to look at how can we get there and to realize what is the body, what is the soul, which one do you feed every day?
Dr. Hanna, I think that it truly is that we as humans have allowed this to happen. Because if you look back in history, in the early 1900s, people were dying just because, hey, they got a bacteria, got a virus, got a sickness, they died. But then along came the, quote, miracle drug, the antibiotic, and it was going to fix everything. And I think some of us still have that ingrained in our head today. Antibiotics will fix everything. But if we look at it, the evolution of humans, into these 80s and the 90s, plastic surgeons had a heyday because everybody wanted a perfect body on the outside,
Yeah.
And then we look at the early 2000s, people are looking for stem cells, fix my inside. They're constantly looking for this perfection of body, believing that then their life will be whole, they will be doing wonderful, and everything will be hunky-dory. Do you think perhaps we've come to the point where, now that we have the pandemic years, we've kind of had to sit down? It's almost as if we were all put in a proverbial timeout. Park your butt, the world is going to stop, and all of that stuff that you thought no longer exists. Perhaps?
Perhaps. When I look at it as that this last 2 years of the COVID, it made us look at it as a nation, as a people, as to how can we, what can we do? So what you were talking about, explaining earlier was very good in terms of people look outside. Now it's time for us to look inside. I teach my patients, you have to look inside. I'm not the one. I'm only part of the team. That you, your source, and your beliefs. I'm a catalyst to align you back to your oneness. When you get aligned back to that, your health will goes up, your joy will goes up. But you got to be willing to go inside to take some responsibility. Versus going to a physician and say, "Well, give me a pill for a diet, give me a pill for my anxiety, give me a pill for this, give me something." Look, you're looking outside. Now we have to learn to go inside. So the wealth, the health, the joy is an inside situation. The question is, do people want to be responsible? If you look at it from the chakra point of view, you got 3 major chakras above and 3 below. Then you got the heart. So far in the last many years, I would say people have been functioning below the heart. They want somebody else to take care. You do this, you do this. Move up to the heart side, loving yourself, liking yourself. Learn how to be responsible, to take responsibility. Be willing to do that. Because your thought creates your in and out of realities. And learn how to deal with energy. Learn how to deal with thought. But most important, learn how to realize breath is your primary, your priority in life. No breath, no life. So I teach you how to use your breath to create your own radiant health. To teach you how to think, to have the proper thoughts. So your thoughts, your energy creates your in and out conditions,
It's so interesting. I had a patient, I think it was probably about maybe 20 years ago, and I can distinctly remember I did a really it was like a 2-hour intake, and at the end I had maybe 3 sheets of paper with a lot of things on that they could do to help the child. The child was the patient. And the parents looked at me and they said, "We have a full-time job. This cannot be our job. We can't have this as a job. You need to give us one thing that's going to fix the child so we can go on our merry way." Well, I think in essence, when I look at that sheet and I think about it in my thoughts, it had things like acupressure, it had vitamins and supplements, had exercise and fun, it had allowing the child some freedom, it had different things about in the home, it had a multitude of the web in which we live, so to speak, and how to be able to bring it into focus so that it will best benefit body, mind, and spirit. I think sometimes we get stuck in the idea that, the doctor does the medical part, the priest does your soul part, and the psychiatrist does your mind part, and it's all about this farming out stuff. Just as you shared before about the cardiologist, a patient had asked us, a cardiologist, a question, and I think it was about the blood vessels in their legs or something, and the cardiologist says, "Well, you need to go to someone else for that. I don't deal with that." And I'm going, well, just how does that heart pump that blood down to that blood? It's growing. It's an appendage of it. It's part of the octopus, so to speak. It's pumping the blood into it, but you're not going to talk about it? That doesn't make much sense. So do you think perhaps maybe society is now hanging over the edge and some things will start to collapse as we start to be able to say, no more, I need to do something different?
It is definitely happening that way, and I'm really excited about it, happy for that, really. Our life would go over the edge. I want that kind of chaotic change. But when you look back in saying, what can I do? And we all have it right within our nose. I ask people, what are their number one priority? I go back to breath. It's not your family. It's not this. It's not that. Your number one priority is your breath. Learn how to breathe. Without breath, you don't live. So how do you use breath to create that radiant health, your relaxation, your joy, and more energy? That's the process. Let's start with breath. Start with breath. Start changing, relaxing, and creating. It's like I said, I tell people, I talk about shine, glow, flow. It's a rhythm, it's a rhyme, but it's dealing with universal laws. And if you have sunshine love, imagine the sun doesn't have anything with ism, racism, sexism, politicalism, what nature you are. The sun shines regardless. So the question I ask people, can you shine love one to yourself? A lot of people have a problem that people don't even like or love or appreciate themselves. They go along and do something. And you say, well, you're diabetic. Let me ask you some questions about diabetes. Do you know the food you should be eating? Do you know the exercise you should be doing? Are you doing those things? No, but doctor, no. But are you doing the things that you know what to do? So I always talk about you do all you know about what you know. You're guaranteed to get some more that can help you. But the question is, you're looking outside. You expect someone to do something, but no one making you eat this food. No one making you eat this candy.
Right.
But so what does that stand about you as a person? And they come in, they talk to me, and I said, your body is telling me that you need vitamin D and vitamin C, at least a vitamin D. I say, how much is it? I say, it was $20, but I don't have that. But I said, you smoke cigarettes, sir. How much does a pack of cigarettes cost you? You tell me $8. What's 8 times 7? Tell me that.
I know.
Times 4. So what you mean? So you don't value yourself, but you can smoke a cigarette. You know it's killing you. But I said, get some vitamin D3. It's a immune modulator. It helps your mood. So why not take vitamin D? Just start with basic. But it's a rationalization that I should do something to help them. But they put something that will do themselves. It's simply advising vitamin D, that do some exercise, and cut out eating McDonald's or whatever it might be. Are you willing to do what you got to do? The question is, do you like or love yourself? And so many of my patients does not like or love themselves. They say they do.
Well, I think that right there, it's totally about the idea of victim, in which we don't like that word. However, we're just using it as a placeholder right now. But also, too, I think a lot of times people will say, I'll tell you, I have one patient, this person drinks 2 liters of Coke a day, hamburgers and French fries for twice a day, and sometimes alternates with fried chicken. And, he kind of did really good for maybe about 6 months, lost tons of weight, like maybe 150 pounds. Sugars went way down. All the drugs went away and everything. But then turned right around and went back up again. And I asked why. And they said, because I want to do what I want to do. And, that's very important because people will say, this is my free will. And we'll say, yes, it's your free will. So we have to realize, too, Dr. Hannah, is that when you and I are saying something about free will, we can't place judgment on it that they should choose our way or their way or whatever. We have to just allow them to be in whatever state that they're in, because it truly is about how can we as practitioners let go and be able to support others in their choices. And I think for myself, I totally have stopped doing naturopathic physician work. I just said, that's it, no more. Because it got to the point where people would come to, me and they would say, my medical doctor can't fix me. I want to do this natural stuff. Give me the stuff that's going to fix me. And it was still the fix me system, and I just wasn't into it. So truly what I would do now is working with souls. It's sort of like end of life. It's sort of like, think of every single day as your end of your life. Today to tomorrow, what would you like to do today? And then do it. So I think the idea is, how do we get out of the victim space, but also, too, how can we see free will and a choice and still not be stuck in the judgment?
Let me start with that part first. I look at everybody's been my teacher. And if I find someone, I'm feeling myself in judgmental when someone is really saying this is my free will and choice, I ask myself, which one is reacting to that, which one's responding to that? If I feel some reactivity going on inside of me, that know it's personality, it's ego, because I want to think my way is better. However, if I go to the other side, I say, well, how do I embrace this person with their choice Even though intellectually I know what's happening with it, but from my heart point of view, I have a lot of compassion. I release them with love. That's how I practice. It's a very good thing to keep me balanced, to see what triggers me to have some type of judgment. So it's you must have a own continuous, be your own looker to yourself, and have an ever-present state of consciousness about what are you doing, what are you feeling, what are you thinking. Do you have any type of reactivity? Any type of reactivity, you know, is the imbalance within yourself, either from your ego or from your intellectual level. At that time, you get to balance out.
Hold on one second, Dr. Hannah. So don't you think that in essence, what we're doing as we're being coaches, as we're being doctors, as we're being guides, is what we're saying is, here is the path, perhaps. Let me know if you need guidance, and I will walk alongside of you. It's not rah, rah, rah from the side or pulling you down the road. We're just walking alongside, perhaps.
I noticed that way. I agree with that. The question is, you know, that question came up to me a lot of time. People say, well, if some person comes to see, they don't want you to treat them. I said, okay, that's their right. I don't have any problem. They're going to come back. I'm open. I said I'm like the sun. I shine.
That's it. That's it.
I shine like the sun. They can't stop me from shining. So I don't react to them. I respond to them. So I teach people, can you be in a state where you can be an onlooker, stay in a state of responding rather than reacting. Response keeps you relaxed. Response keeps you more healthy. Reactivity raises your blood pressure, causes tension inside of you. Those kind of things. So each time I use that breath and observe my inner self, do I have any reaction? And go from there and keep going. If they say they want to walk down the road, I say, okay, let's walk. Your receptivity, I respect you, your own time, your own journey when you get ready. I mean, I'm not going to stop shining because you said I don't want to do it today. I'm going to be.
Right.
When you truly is ready, then you are ready. I would feel that I would know it. We can do it that way. Until then, it's okay. Do what you got to do. So
well,
that's it. Go ahead.
Don't you think also, too, Dr. Hannah, that it has to be, we can shine, and others could say, I'm always putting on my sunglasses and soaking myself in sunscreen, and we're going fine. You're protecting yourself from whatever, you know?
Yes.
And we say, but sometimes you have to wait until they're receptive. In other words, you can't say, I'm going to take off my sunglasses and see what the sun looks like. I'm going to stop putting on the suntan lotion that's 10 inches too thick because of my fears. I'm just going to go out in the sun, feel its warmth, and enjoy the rays.
Yes.
And that's a different spot. So when they get to that spot, then they're open to say, it's almost as if you've walked through the door. And I always call it the end-of-life door. You know, people will I'm afraid of death, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. Or other people will say, well, I'm afraid they'll die alone or whatever. I'll say, you know, they're all humans on this side. When we go through that door, only one soul can fit. That's it. And when we get on the other side, we are in joy with the other tribe. So if you think of it, our lifetime is pretty much a lot of these doors because we come into a different awakening. We come into a different space and time. We grow and we expand into our soul.
For sure. We keep expanding to that oneness, and that's very important. And I'm saying that timeless, when you go, is your time. And as a physician, it's been very beneficial for me to learn how to have true patience with compassion, patience with love in the heart, and yet be there when somebody's ready. I'm saying that sunshine love, be that way. So in order to get to that sunshine love, you have to also glow. Glowing is when you have your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual body aligned. Too many people connect to the intellectual mind.
Right.
Too many people to their spiritual mind or their physical side. Each one, we put too much energy without balance, then you'll be prone to judgment. You won't be balanced yourself. So if you can balance all those things without judging someone else, you can glow. So you can shine and then you glow. Right. And the last one being, can you flow? So what does flow mean? Flow is water. Flow is like we are 70% water. The earth is 70% water. We seek to accept things. We yield around things. We go around. We're always going down because it's very humble but yet so powerful. Water is very, very powerful. Like air, we need water. we need sun. So I tell people, can you shine, glow, flow? Shine like the sun, go to the moon, and flow like water. When you're using those divine powers, those divine energies, it puts you in a different state, a different consciousness. It's increasing your receptivity, a different frequency when you're doing that. Because you're dealing with gratitude, you're dealing with love, you're dealing with compassion. You're dealing with your own wisdom and power. It's all there about it in those three things. Shine, glow, flow. It's all powerful, divine energy within you when you have a conscious desire to flow within that frequency. And we start with number one,
right?
With awareness. Number two, my breath is my ticket here on planet Earth. How do I have gratitude and appreciate my breath? How do I have gratitude for my body that I can see, feel, heal, think? What are you doing with that? Do you ask yourself, which one of my minds am I deciding to use now? Is it divine mind or ego mind? The ego mind is always based in fear, anger, greed, control, and separatism, whereas divine mind is the universal, one love, one breath, one energy. We're aware of oneness. And I tell people, look like this. There's one source sun, and there's so many rays. They don't get that. I said, you know what? Out of all the 8 billion or 9 billion people on this planet, no one have your thumbprint. You are unique. You're special. You're powerful. You got a gift. You can shine. You can shine, glow, flow. When you decide to look at your uniqueness, your worthiness, your beauty inside of you. It's all what's inside of you. Let's go inside when you get ready. And so that is the process of going in, making that decision, knowing that you are worthy. You are part of the one source, one breath, one entity, one consciousness. And you can state that you can make that decision all the time.
Well, in essence, Dr. Hannah, too, a lot of times people will say they have one of those things and they're online with, But I think that that's very important to remember because sometimes they feel that their body is broken or their mind is broken or their heart is broken. And that comes to the point that's why they seek out people like us because they feel that something is broken and it needs to be fixed. So let's talk for a little bit, Dr. Hannah, about the idea of healing. I think that word is going to have to go away in language because people have associated the word healing and healed with perfection. In other words, I will be devoid of all diseases in my entire, body. I will never, ever have a splinter. I will never, ever have dry eyes. I will never, ever have cancer. Do you know what I mean? As healed. Or of the mind, they will say, oh, my gosh, I have to keep running to confession because my mind is not healed. I'm still thinking these thoughts. Or something happened, and I had an emotion that brought up something inside of me, so something must be wrong with me. So let's talk about the word healed and healing. Do you think perhaps the word needs to go away and we need to have a different perspective?
My thing is alignment. I go to alignment. And when people come in, when they say they're broke, their heart broke, they feel this way, I acknowledge their feeling. And I acknowledge that is totally true from the frame that you're coming from, your physical, the ego mind. That is totally 100% real. Do you think they are eternal part of you? Do you feel it might be an eternal part of you? Do you think we can use that to align your broken heart? Do you think that we can align your mental, physical, whatever it might be? Can we get those things back in line? It's like when an acupuncture goes in, It's happening because the meridian is clogged up. They're manifesting some of the symptoms, pain, redness, infection. It doesn't matter whatever it is, but it's something being stopped. It's clogged. It's a stagnation. Stagnation causes inflammation. So you can have a mental stagnation or a physical cause the physical stagnation.
Right.
How do you go in and change that? Well, first, receptivity, awareness that that's something that's you, that you have more power, and also you become a partner with them to learn how about this other side within them. That's my most effective way, is to connect, align, and realign. Connect, relax, realign. Connect, relax. You got to connect. Then there got to be some receptivity and relaxation, because nothing happened in terms of healing or alignment without having some receptivity and relaxation. It's always going to come out. You got to have a receptive mind and just relaxation to receive the different frequencies. So those things, I start with them. Like I said, I connect, That don't argue with anything. You have the feeling. You have the feeling. All of that. Now, feeling is a feeling. A fact is a fact. A thought is a thought. Then there's the truth. So I go down each one of those paths with them. What you feel, I know what you're feeling, what you believe, but your belief and your feeling can go together to make things even worse, like your thought patterns. So let's go down those three different stages: feeling, feel, beat, and thought. Then there's the truth. So those things.
I think the idea with disease sometimes, I would say to people, they would say, I'm a diabetic, or I have cancer. And I would say, perhaps can we just try this for just a week? Just a week, I'd like you to say, I am experiencing the cancer process within my human vehicle. And that steps out. And what it does is it allows you to become the observer instead of the owner.
Correct. It is a part of this. If you look at it as a part of your physical journey, if you look at the process that you co-created, if you look at it as, how could I use this to enhance my inner power? What is it I'm supposed to learn from this? Because every situation, we co-created it. Now, the question is, what can we learn from it to move forward to a more victorious mentality, a higher frequency? So we always join. You say, I created. That's what separates an adult from an adolescent. An adolescent person, just about how old, what degrees they have. They're still adolescents, MDs, or anybody, lawyers. They are still to be an adolescent in behavior or in thought process, because it's always somebody's fault, somebody's to blame. But when you really take responsibility and start claiming your feeling, claiming your thought, claiming your belief, and being receptive to change, that's when the alignment comes in. Now, that's what people call healing come in. I call it alignment. That's what I'm talking about. But you have to be willing to take responsibility for your breath, your thoughts, your feeling. How did this come about? Somebody came to me with some cancer recently. I said, what is it serving for you? What are you going to learn from it? That's a different story. You start asking a question like that. But you always embrace people, become one with them, but yet holding them accountable to what they co-created and how we can move forward to the next stage.
I think sometimes, too, we have to say we need to do a purge. Dude, we need to just plain open up the windows and blow all this sucker stuff out, And, I do acupuncture myself also, and I can distinctly remember, sometimes this happens. You'll do a treatment and things will seem like they're moving, but then they don't. And some things will get worse and some will get better. Sometimes you'll say, oh, it didn't do anything. And I think I got to one point at one time, almost everybody on their first visit got this one product that I had. It was called Purge Chi. And it said, I don't know which meridian is totally blocked, but I know that they are all part of the same flower, and we're just going to blow the house out. We are going to bring in Roto-Rooter, we're going to bring in the house cleaners, and then we'll have something to start from. How does that sound? And what it did was, I think sometimes we say, even with our mind and our thoughts, sometimes we just have to blast what we can open, and say, I'm just going to let it rip, and just say, I'm going to stand to the side and let's do this. And I think that is sometimes a lot of times when people say, I've been holding on to these little fragments, these secrets, these memories, whatever they are, in all of these corners of my being. So in essence, when you do that, it kind of extracts or motivates or moves everything within all parts of your being. Have you ever found that?
I found cleansing, and I found like this person you just talked about explained to me, seeing like they have some issues stuck in their lungs. If I didn't listen to it, they're holding on. They hold to this, and they have the resentment. They hold on for years. And I started exploring that, going back and like detangling those knots that caused them to hold on and to be able to let go, to be able to forgive themselves and whatever the situation is to move forward. So I do believe in letting go and purging and cleansing. That's why water in my shine glow flow is so important. When you have water goes on, it keeps flowing beyond something. It could never get stuck. Realize you get stuck, you got stagnation, then you get a disease.
Yeah.
And so you have to let go to move forward. And how you do that is different ways. You connect. I ask people different things. I use like when people walk down my door, I can tell this is a man or woman. She come in and I say, well, do you have a kidney problem? They say, whoa, how you know? Because I see you, and I see your skin color, and I see this. And say, oh, my doctor's told me that. Right. Well, then I go down the path of how's your life going? So what's going on? And I get deep down to the underlying chronic fear or active fear because of liver control fear. And I said, how do we start dealing with that? Because some people have blood pressure problem, and a lot of the MDs use the same meds for both. Some hypertension is coming from kidney, some coming from liver. If someone is predominantly have underlying frustration and anger, sometimes the liver dominates that hypertension, whereas sometimes it's underlying by fear. So you got to get to the root cause before you start doing some diuretics or doing these ACE blockers, whatever it may be, to treat their blood pressure. You got to get down deep to the cause of that person. What's in their thought process? What in their soul that's been harboring that? What are you afraid of? What are you angry about? Or when your heart is broken, you can see the large, small intestines. It's like they need some help with learning how to receive or give love. And sometimes you get constricted in the heart. You can't give it because you feel like my heart was broken. Or if I give it, it might get broken again. All those are thoughts and beliefs that is really impacting this physical body, manifested through physical disease, heart disease, hypertension, or diabetes, or cancer, or infection. Doesn't matter what it is. There's an underlying root cause that's associated by the energy of the soul or spirit. How do you deal with that? If you don't deal with that, you keep giving medication on top of medication, and doesn't seem to be happening. You get the medication, it's affecting your GI tract. And you got another problem going on like that,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also, it's the same similar patterns within supplements and herbal tinctures and everything. It's sort of, are you really just keep putting things in to be that placebo where they believe that something is going to work, I can distinctly remember there was a person that had was starting to get high blood pressure. It was like, my gosh, why is the blood pressure through the roof when they've always been very hypotensive their whole life? And the first answer was, oh, no, well, we're going to do a stress test with a medication that's going to push them to the edge, and we're going to find out how their heart works. And I'm going, are you kidding me? Are you seriously kidding me? But in essence, kind of, I think the person, the patient, had stood up and says, it doesn't feel right to do that test. It doesn't feel right to take that prescription right now. Mm-hmm. It feels like I need to sit back and explore something else right now. And I think that, for many, is taking responsibility, because they're saying, it doesn't feel right, but I think I'm going to listen more and explore more, versus jumping into the fear thing that something could be taking me out, be my exit door, or, be the end of me. Don't you think?
I definitely agree with that. And I'm encouraging more people to stand up and ask questions and look at different things like this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm empowering them to take responsibility for their body. Don't just give it up, because so many people just send you down this path to medication. See, this is not real. One patient I saw recently, she's on 4 different medications. She gained so much weight, and she have shaking up the hand. And I said the diabetes skyrocketing, A1C is like 8 or 10. And I said, what are they doing about it? Well, that's what the doctor gives me.
That's right. That's right.
The doctor gave you, but you got to learn this is not. You're not feeling good. And said, maybe tell the doctor you got too many medications. You're gaining weight when you take this medication.
Yeah.
But some people have, as I said, their third chakra. You gave yourself over to somebody else. And I encourage people to learn how to take responsibility for their breath. You're responsible for your breath.
Right.
And you learn how to.
Because what you're saying about the breath is really stepping back into yourself instead of jumping outside of yourself to find everything, bring it back home and stick it on yourself as your identity, so to speak, So when you're stepping back into yourself, you're saying, something doesn't feel right, something I know I don't hear, that doesn't seem right. Oh, I would love to try that. It might not be the answer, but it's something that I would like to explore. And what you find out is that exploration, like putting new curtains on the window, might let more light in. but you really had no idea about the light. You were just thinking about the curtains. So I think the idea is that take the journeys, whatever they are, and be able to enjoy your life and see where it takes you, perhaps.
You have to have the courage to move forward with your common thing, and that is a very challenge for so many people.
Yeah.
I know in the West, because we are more prone to conform rather than have the courage to say, I'm going to do it this way. Because if you feel you go against the conformity of your family, of your friends, of your race, your political, whatever it might be, you say, do you have the courage to follow your inner thoughts, your inner belief? But if it's outside with your current group or your family thing, what about you? Just remember, out of 8 to 9 billion people, only you have your thumbprint. So follow what you feel inside. As long as you're willing to be responsible, it's not hurting anybody. This is for you. Do you have the courage to have and the confidence to do that?
But Dr. Hannah, you have to remember, and you're older also, we have to look back on history. What happened in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s is that when people started to learn more from school, people started to speak out and want to do different things, they were considered cast-outs. And where did they end up? They ended up in the mental hospital at the top of the hill.
Yes, and it's still going to come back to that. Yes.
So you really have to look at it that some of that is still ingrained in our genetics. It's still ingrained in our ancestors. Many elders now, I find this constantly. They're like, I would never say this, and especially at the end of life, I would never say this, but this is what happened in my life. And they've got extraordinary stories, except they did not want to be put away. They didn't want to have their brain shocked as an elder because there's no way they were going to have that happen. So they just sadly take their stories with them, or their joy, or their heartfelt moments. Perhaps that's what humans have done to each other?
I think a group of people have done that for sure. But right now, the frequency and the evolution and reincarnation is changing that frequency. So much of that changed down in the last 20 years. That has definitely changed. But it's still there. Conformity is there. The question is, how many people have the courage to shine your light? Your thumbprint is different. There's nothing wrong with your thumbprint. You have your own light. Can you just shine it? When you shine like the sun, you are very inclusive. You're not excluding nobody else. But if you feel you're different from your family, your group, or whoever it might be, difference doesn't mean you're against. It's to say, I'm shining my love this way, which would also include you.
Right.
So I don't have to do it this way, the way you say I should do it. But do your way include me, what I'm doing. Can you accept what I'm doing? So that goes to physicians. Some physicians have patients. If you don't do what I say, I don't want to see you, even though new medicine is definitely has changed so many things. I do a lot of, hormonal work as well. I mean, what I mean, when I do evaluation of men and women at a certain age, I check their hormones. And the thyroid is frequently out of balance. And I said, but the doctor says it's normal. That's normal for the average population, but it's not normal for you. You need to be something different. You have to be what's normal for you. So we're going for a different level of that to help people get back to an optimal level. So having the courage to break out of the conformity is very different. It's challenging for some people. And there's a toxic conformity, I call it. It's very toxic because it's going against how you feel inside. You're going along with a job or a situation that you know inside you don't feel it. People making 5 figures to 6 figures, they feel it. They might just stop this. I don't like this job. I was on this because my parents want me to do this, or my friends like that. And I said, but do you like it? No. Do you have the courage to do what you really like that can serve you and humanity? It's simple. I'll leave it like that. In the beginning, some people have the courage to do that, but you're correct what you're saying. That conformity sometimes was not, but it's changing now. It has to change.
Yes.
I mean, the cosmic is forcing the change with us.
Well, I think in closing, Dr. Hannah, we can truly say that your book, this radio show, and our work as we are out in helping other souls is what is causing that wave, so to speak, of creation, where others are saying, I know there's something out there, and they can see us, as I call it, through the cracks in their armor. So we are out there. We just need to shine a little bit stronger. But they are finding us, and they are able to say that it's okay, it is safe, and I'm going to go that way. So we are there. We are being heard, yes?
Yes, 100%. It's growing fast. It is growing and growing, and like we just keep shining. If someone see in the dark, people see the light, I want to check this out. They wouldn't know if this is the frequency for them. We all have our own frequency, and that's okay. But we keep shining the light. We keep being the sunshine and the moon and the water. We keep attracting what, because those are all divine energy. Shine like the sun and glow like the moon. And flow like water are divine. The water is divine. The sun is divine. The moon is divine. So you're bringing in that frequency. So I encourage people to just be the sunshine. Align your bodies and flow like water.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Hannah, it was such a pleasure to speak with you today. Can you share with the listeners how to find out more information about your work?
Yeah, basically you could go to HannahsHolisticHealing.com. Hannah's, Hannahs, Holistic, HOLISTIC, Healing.com. You can find what I'm doing. I'm having it's being developed right now, an online course for my book. We talk about developing a master course on a monthly basis. Something's happened there. Just check it out. It's on there. If anybody listen, they can also go to my website and get a free ebook about the Shine, Glow, Flow, and they can read more about it at that level as well.
Very good. Well, Dr. Hannah, thank you so much for sharing with us today. As we say, we are shining. We are out there. Just look for the light and you'll find us, right?
Correct.
Very good. If you'd like to find out more information about Dr. Paul Hannah, again, the book is Remembering Qualities of Your Soul, Joyfully Living Your God Self. Please do click on the link on the bottom of today's show page to go directly to his website for more information and also to check out the free ebook. And it definitely is about saying there is something different out there. Once you close that door behind you, there's no going back. So be a seeker. Go out. Enjoy. What is out there? You have no idea. Take off those sunglasses and be able to say, I'm going to feel like a child again. I'm going to explore the world with new eyes.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher, and until tomorrow, have a great day.
Today we discussed many life-changing concepts. Who do you turn to, and how do you know what is best when faced with a health crisis? Dr. Jeanette is a patient advocate. She listens to the patient, the doctors, and the family, clarifies the health issues and concerns, then helps the patient make the best choices going forward. If you would like help implementing change into your life and health, we can talk and see where you are stuck and how to improve the quality of your life. Check the link on the bottom of today's show page or visit dr-jeanette-gallagher.com to schedule a phone appointment today.